kernel level code, which is always a danger to any system, also to the secure level where, as we showed, it's only one flag. If you have a modular system and you have drive for code that have to be audited, the chance that there's a bit of error somewhere in there that will flip to the secure level bit back for you is always a big danger. So, and then the same goes for the mandatory access to the system. Argus also set up a back-to-the-back system last year at Black Hat, and they had their own engineers set up the system, and I think on the evening before, I think they discovered themselves, but also had the states in their own setup. So that shows you how difficult it is to set up a properly tied-down system. So hopefully there will be better or more choice, at least, in solutions to this problem. One interesting thing I came across is the FreeBSD jail. This jail is this feature that was added a year or two ago, or maybe 1.5 years ago. And what it does is it extends the JRoot environment. JRoot is a mechanism that is, or in the normal Unix, is file system based thing. It locks you in a part of the file system. It doesn't do anything else in the rest of the system. So what the deal does is extend this feature to other parts of the networking part, the process part, and that in fact is kind of a middle way between a real virtual machine kind of thing and the plain scale, which is not really that useful. And the interesting part is also you can also combine it a little bit with a system that has labels, and it puts one label that says this is the guild or this is the guild. And what you can do is you can give away root in the guild, and the root cannot go back to the root. Of course, if you put all your sensitive information and everything you care about in the guild, it's no use anyway, because then you lose it all anyway. But it gives you some additional powers in the sense that you can detect stuff that's happening in the field without the user in the field being able to delete the information or modify the log file that are outside. So it's kind of an interesting solution where the problem of all the variables are reduced to simple inside or outside. And that has some use. For instance, the reason it was mainly developed as a web hosting, where you can now do in your own web environment and still have multiple web servers within one site. I put a few dots there because, well, this is, I think, one of the main interesting topics for the coming few years, or maybe 10 years, is the way how can we design our operating system so that we don't run into these problems over and over and over again. On the one hand, the administration problems, on the other hand, the protection of their integrity, which is everything. And we don't want to start talking about Windows because we're there. And luckily, there's a very interesting site, www.rootkit.com, which gives you all the stuff for Windows, the protection stuff. Here. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about levels. So this is a little bit of references that are some stuff we did. Documents, so that's a big document site, so you can find all the device driver stuff and related stuff to the kernel. The book, so there are some kernels. I haven't even read it yet, I just skimmed through it. We bought it recently. It's a book written by someone. And I think it's a book I would have wanted to have when I wrote my kernel module. It seems to have pretty much anything in there about only the Solaris kernel. There were some older books, a book by Fahadia, which I now don't know, I have it in my bag. I also have the Solaris kernel book with me, so you can look at it. And there's the older book, Magic Garden Explained, which is quite old, that also explains the SysD kernel. Yeah. Yeah. So, and again, everyone wants you to write stuff for it, so there's a lot of documentation on how to do those. Okay, and there's also where some of the coding can be found. The slides aren't not there yet, but will be. Again, anything you want to add?
I just think that most stuff we discussed here is not implemented by me right now, so I will maybe take the time in a few weeks get this stuff done, especially the security modules that will probably implement this stuff. Maybe all I discussed, yeah, but I'm not sure if I will finish it as soon as possible. Yeah, I guess this was the last slide.
Yeah.
So if there's still any questions. If there are any... Yeah.
For what you discussed over encryption and signing of modules, would not be easier and also more secure to just would it not be easier and more secure to just always boot from a boot CD and to make a module that only checks if the module that are additionally loaded are also on the boot CD?
Yeah, it would be a possibility to put all stuff that is loaded into the kernel on the usual media, but maybe you want to extend the system later as an administrator.
There's a problem because you have to boot from ETC. So okay, you can burn ETC on the CD also, but you will run into problems because those are part of the modify and runtime system. And if you don't burn it ETC, then there will be effects on your drive and then it can be modified. So there's a problem there with the ETC part, and then you run into the same trust problem that then the boot process takes over and then you don't have control anymore. Unless you put some protective module also on that burning media.
Any more questions?
Yeah. I'll try to ask, what if, for instance, users have to be able to change their password, so you can't protect, for instance, your password file using the immutable flag. And if I change the shell that's used by user root to something else, then fuck up his system. He'll boot in console mode, try to log in as root, run my shell instead, and I'll be running it with you at null in a secure level 0, so I can do anything, still can do anything.
I'm not sure if this is really working.
I think it should work. And else we could, for instance, change /sbin/init or change libraries or change any file that is being used in the boot up process before the secure level is raised, which is an awful lot of files, and also there are an awful lot of undocumented files which are checked. Hey, if we have NIS, we have to check, is this module there, is this one there? They aren't there yet, I can put them there, wait for a reboot and I'm still in, or force a reboot.
Yeah, it's true that protecting the boot path is pretty hard, especially on a Spark cross where something's happening in dynamic ways. It's pretty hard. But it's like also with the BSD system. You don't see completely protected BSD systems with the secure level also. It's also pretty hard, and no one publishing the script is completely tightens down all the individual flags on the system. So, but it's the only way to get there. I mean, there's no other way at least. So.
Okay. So a lot of people leaving.
Yeah, actually, Camera is a project from Bremen people. Bremen is the north of Germany. And actually, Camera means roughly translated something like current camera in the news. This was the name of the former GDR, which means East Germany Television Broadcast. And our project, thank you very much. Our project is dealing about progressing development to a society of control, and especially about visual surveillance. Our project is web-based. Our work is reflected by our website with the intention to document, visualize, and discuss the development of surveillance, video surveillance. We want to see some parts of our website right now for a range of information. For example, pictures and video clips from sightseeing tours to be made from downtown Bremen to record surveillance cameras in public space. We made a map from our sightseeing tours to document these ground trips, and to document cameras we found in public cameras, private cameras, and so on. This map we plan to make an automatic database where people who are visiting our web page can notify the camera places. This is the verified places on the map automatically. But as you can see on our provisional map, that this is still like, it's a provisional because our technical department is not so far at the moment to make and set up the database. But we know from other projects who are making the same thing, who are planning to do the same thing, so we are hopeful that we can put our techniques together. Then we have a lot of articles and essays with political and scientific or cultural backgrounds. We have basic information about other projects, links to video surveillance, producers, and corporations. We have links to other detailed information about surveillance, and we have finally an archive of our public videos and announcements of public events. Our intention, I just told it, is to provide a platform for interested people. Our hope is to stimulate activity and debates about control and the impact on civil rights like privacy and anonymity. We think that camera-based surveillance is only one part of this development which has an impact to a wide range of our concerns, from our visits to downtown, for example, shopping areas, to living in our neighborhoods, to living in our home, our privacy at home, and at least to our activities in the different channels of digital communication. Shortly to say to our group, we are a heteronomous group. That means we are from different directions. We have some let's say networkers. We are some people who are having an arts background, and some are political activists from other groups. We started our website last summer and first published it at an arts exhibition in Bremen. Okay, just shortly two occurrences in Bremen what brought us to do that. It was first in planning of the city government for an inner city area with complete high multi-story buildings. What was built in the early 70s, and now is an area where a lot of migrants from South and East Europe are living. For this area called Geneva, the government planned a high-tech full video surveillance program. This meant high-definition cams with zoom 360-degree angle installed on the highest building, which should serve the whole neighborhood. This would have been, as a matter of fact, for Bremen or for other countries too, was these two big step and the control mechanism they can use to surveil people. This plan has been postponed, that means they want to make it later, but it would have meant that every movement in this area can be tracked by the video camera. At the same moment, they had been planning to enforce our police law, or to give the police forces the possibility on the right to video surveillance all crime they want to be surveilled. Okay, so far by Aktuelle Kamera, and I think Thorsten wants to introduce your project.
Okay, as said before, I have taken over the idea and I started in Zurich to map cameras in the city. So far I didn't set up the website yet. I'm a bit out of time available, but I will do it in the next coming months. And we started to map the main station of Zurich, for example. We found 80 cameras in the main station building alone, which were around 30 cameras were used for train traffic control, and the other 50 cameras around were from the Kantonalpolizei, which is the police of Switzerland. How we collect that information, if it's not already like Aktuelle Kamera did it the way that they set up a web form, for example, so people who know where a camera is can submit the place and the address of that camera. Or the other idea is to just organize a walk and just walk through the city and start to look after those cameras and just write down where they are and what the purpose is of the camera and where it points to. So it's a pretty fun event to organize. So just walking by the city and spotting those cameras. In Switzerland, the development of video surveillance is taking over as well. So the police plans to further surveil public places in Bern. They have a law. They ruled out a law that like unwanted subjects in public places. So if you don't have a house and you live on the streets, and the police chief doesn't want to see you there anymore, he can forbid you of being on that public place, and this could be used by video surveillance. So they see when you're there, they can come and sue you if you just walk around in a public place where you shouldn't be. Okay, that's so far about the Swiss project. I will now give you some facts on what kind of cameras there are, what kind of video surveillance is being made in public. First, as I've mentioned it before, there's traffic control purpose. So you set up a camera for traffic control. You want to see where the cars are, if traffic jams are, so things like that. It's more a technical need of surveillance. And then we come to the police, where the police wants to focus on so-called points of criminal activity. So they start to set up cameras wherever they think criminal activity takes place. So this can be almost every big street in a big city. So they try to surveil almost everything there. The third type is safeguarding of real estates. So if you have a nice big house, you want to have a clear view of what's happening around it. You set up a camera which is more a private purpose, and it can't be, you can't like say, no, this person is not allowed to set up this camera. But the thing is that with such private cameras, you can like point them to public places, so you can start surveilling public places, other people's houses with your own private camera, which then you start to intrude the privacy of others, which then as well. Then we have the pretty dangerous thing, the city public places. A city public place can be a mall, a shopping center, train station. Train stations in Switzerland are public places because everyone can walk there, but the federal train agency, they say it's their private place, so they can set up their own police, which they did. So there's security walking around in the stations, which is not the public police, but train police, and they have not the same rights as police has, but they feel like they are a real cop, so it's pretty annoying. And then the last thing, which is also pretty dangerous, is webcams. Webcams can be pointed to almost everywhere, so you can put a picture of your neighbors taking a shower in the web. So that's also pretty dangerous for the individual's privacy. Now we'll take over again and tell you something about the why of video surveillance. Why are they doing that?
To explain video surveillance, what video works for some aspects, I want to tell that video surveillance and all other forms of control surveillance derive from the so-called attempt to count the unknown, inability to adequately capture, contain, regulate, govern behavior. Not language action is Frank Elmer. That's the point in view why this happens. For example, if we walk the street by night, we accept street light as a comfortable normality, like we have here on the camp by night. It supports our feeling to be viewable to view. But the original trigger for installing street lights was another. For example, in the late 19th century, the police department in Bremen convinced the city council to establish a street light to light the street and path by night to get a better view for patrolling police officers. Today, nobody would put street light, law enforcement, and surveillance together, but 120 years before, it was an important step in the history of surveillance. Therefore, the same intention is nowadays with video surveillance is to lighten it, to make it visible. What they mean is, for example, crime, disorder, and normality, like the line. And they want to make it visible and define it first. Therefore, video surveillance is a control which is, let's say, present permanently everywhere. And this is the next dangerous point, I think, because through its impersonal existence, it escapes direct confrontation, like fighting activities of some. It allows invisible control, and therefore makes fences and walls useless. That means the city seems to be like free on walls, on borders, but video surveillance controls everything, can view everything. Therefore, we think that the control is much more efficient, like wars can do. This has one effect, especially for people. For people who are like not normal people, like for homeless people, people of colors, other ethnic and social minorities, they get like segregated from public space because they don't take the view of video surveillance and all the control mechanisms. There you have like just mentioned a lot of camps who are guarding real estates and single shopping spaces and stuff like that. There you have the problem that private seems to fight privacy, like you can say private in the way of private property is fighting privacy and all our rights of humanity. It's probably the same fight we can see at the level of internet, the copyrights, like private property too, fights to access information. Therefore, we could say a lot of more things about
This is tuition.
the lives of the users, but for
I think it's
the
not
moment,
mentioned.
I can tell later if questions to it. It's important that there's a deep need for the officials to cooperate for control of surveillance. This surveillance is a good mean for that. There's a huge popularity. For example, in Germany, we know that there are more than 70% of people who like video surveillance or support video surveillance. This is one of the main points that makes it difficult to do.
I repeat, I'm on stage 3.
This is why we just started with more like information platforms.
Yes, indeed.
To provide information and to convince people that this is not good and more dangerous. For this, we just want to tell you some examples what can happen with video surveillance or what you can do with the data you can collect with video surveillance. There are, that was before famous evidence that is temporary in the United States, in Tampa, Florida. That means a Super Bowl football game where I think 75,000 people have been filmed. All visitors have been filmed by 20 video cameras and scanned by face recognition software, which is called FaceIt. It's by Visage technology. That's the spin-off of MIT. And the intention of the police force is that we get to track all people, find out all people who are not. The result was really like cool because they found like 12 people who are wanted on minor crimes, like murder or theft or something like that. And the other result, what is more important, is that a huge publicity of this action, like all media all over the world reported from this. And the other result is that city, Tampa, where this happened, now bought the software and now installed 36 cameras on the streets, on Mayor Street of Tampa, to do the same technology, the same tracking. For example, one technical thing we can do with video surveillance and other technologies.
As you've seen, it's an obvious thing that the images that get taped are not screened by human beings because that's just too expensive. So if you need a 3-person scanning all videotapes from one small city, it would be just too much of the budget. So you start to develop techniques and automatisms in order to scan those pictures automatically. That's what's been called face recognition techniques that are further being developed right now. So the technical progression of this is pretty scary. So they can track down people over long distances, so they can so they can connect those cameras together in a central database, so you have detailed profiles of who walked where and what he did example, a funny example was a young boy in London. He used to steal cars and he didn't get the message, and the police started to. They convicted him now that he has to show up on video on cameras on places where video surveillance cameras are installed in order to see where he walks around. So if he doesn't show up, let's say every 2 hours on a certain place, he gets chased by the police. Other examples in Switzerland are traffic control cameras. We had like 4 years ago a pilot project in a tunnel in Switzerland where they installed a camera which scans the cars, number plates, and they are if they match a database with stolen car plates or cars that didn't pay their insurance yet. The police could see that, and they could go and look for that certain car. This pilot project gave good results, and they now install the same camera in central Zurich. So every time people run on a street in a certain street in central Zurich, they get their car plate gets scanned. They went then even further. They installed laser cameras on the light masts in the city of Zurich for speed control. They wanted to have a survey of who is driving how fast in the city, because the traffic, the speed limit is 50, and people have an average speed of like 65 in Zurich, they found out. And that laser camera is very small, so you couldn't see that camera from the car. It's like 5 centimeters long and like 3 centimeters large. It's a really small thing. And it was just a laser installed on that in order to count the cars and see how much they speed. But it will be easily possible to replace the camera with a real camera that even scans the number plates and things like that. So people started to get nervous when they heard that, because you have no control, you don't see the camera. I mean, you see those boxes that flash you when you speed. Those are pretty large boxes on the streets, but you wouldn't see such small cameras. So that what started to make people nervous in the city of Zurich. A further example, what they will do in about 1 year, there's a new terminal in the airport of Zurich. They are going to install face recognition video there in order to catch the immigrants that get into the airport of Zurich without passport. So they get out of the plane, they throw their passports away in order to get into Switzerland. So the airport authorities can't put those people back where they came from, because they just don't know where they came from. They just get out of the plane and nobody knows on which plane they were. So with that video technique, they want to track back which plane those people came from, so they can easily send them back again. Another thing is the University of Leeds in UK developed a technique that scans behavior of people on video feeds. So if you walk around and do certain abnormal things, that means that you have a different behavior than someone that walks normal in a video feed. Let's say if you don't walk on a parking spot where you can park your car, if you don't just go directly to your car and open the car, but if you walk around and look into someone else's car, you are suspect, because you could be stealing that car. And they develop software that recognizes such behavior in video feeds. Okay,
It's a bit blurry
now
itself.
Wolf will take over again with some more development from Brigham.
Was red is turning. That's a point in the red. Green is going to yellow because it's not good to change the direction. And now the person is standing. That's okay. But now it turns in the third direction, and this is really suspicious. But every people can imagine machines were tracking this. And if you get lost,
Did it just
because
suddenly
you
go
don't find
blurry, or was it
the
always like that?
suspicious of people say you are a potential car thief, and therefore the police will arrive. And this is one dimension of surveillance and automatic reaction on this. This makes this really dangerous to behave like not normal, something like that. Okay, and as we started in Bremen, we had the impression that like campaign or more huge political actions would be useful, because we talked with a lot of people, like engaged people, like critical people, and everybody said, okay, use the links, I don't want to be filmed, I don't go into shopping malls, and I thought that this. But we thought that this really strengthening will have a bigger dimension, and therefore we thought, okay, campaigns not useful, because campaigns are all not useful, but this is the case, so I will put together the information. And we know a lot of other groups who are still began to work with this theme, like we have, for example, the Switzerland people, we have some other groups in Germany, we know from groups from the United Kingdom, we know with cover players in New York and other towns in the United States, we have a group in France and all. But at the moment we have no very good and close communication between us. We know us, but we don't do anything together, and we think this is for the moment a good situation, because to get more like publicity and more power to bring our critiques to the public, it would be very useful to do something together and to strengthen our attention. Therefore we have we've had some months ago mail exchange between the French group and the Belgian group and us, and therefore we developed the idea to make a common action hour, not day, just hour, where we all could do our centralized different actions on our places, our local neighborhood areas, and we can put all this together viewable on the web, so everybody can follow and view all things, what we are doing, like performances, like actions, like demonstrations, and therefore we made just 2 or 3 weeks before in July we made a proposal for common action, and I want to tell you this here too, if there are some people have fun to join this action, because at the moment we have 12 groups, I have to say, but you can show it to the left. We have 12 groups who are supporting this proposal at the state, like the 7th September 2001, from 7 to 18 in time. These are groups from Lithuania to Colombia, from New York to Paris, and Great Britain. And we think that this single action would be a short step to do something together, to get the communication, to show other people that you can get active against this development. Another thing is like our intention from Roberto and from me too, is to say that it really would be a good thing that more groups in their cities began to track city surveillance, to show what is the development, to show where are places who are surveilled and stuff like that. And perhaps this is something for people who are listening to this or who are sitting here in the room to do themselves.
Okay. So that was a call for support, so if anyone wants to do the same thing, we can give you the resources and information as needed. Right now, I just wanted to say that we are closely linked to the Big Brother Awards ceremonies, so that speech held place yesterday evening. Padelun from the German Big Brother Awards is sitting right in front of me. I'm from the Swiss Big Brother Awards as well, so I'm organizing those as well. And Maurice Wesseling is right now talking about wiretapping in stage 1, and he will be organizing the Netherlands Big Brother Awards this year for the first time. And the other thing, if you just point to that website, it's www.trash.net. We can, so if you just need technical platform for hosting something like that, such projects, TrashNet gives you free web space for that stuff. TrashNet is basically a community in Switzerland, and we have a Unix server which is solely running without any Microsoft software. and we provide you a free shell account if you want. So if you don't know Unix, or if you're new to Unix, you can apply for such an account, and we do hosting web services for such projects like Bigbrother Awards and things like that. Everything that has to do with freedom of speech and things like that in the internet, with a technical platform for that. Just wanted to say that. Okay, so now the panel is open for discussion. If you have any questions or would like to contribute, we are keen on answering that or open discussion right now. Okay, the first one on the right side.
Do you know of anyone who's researched how many milliwatts of photonic energy was needed to disable the requirement of CCD chips?
Well,
On the dependent event,
yeah.
how much loss is
Yeah, there was a pretty interesting panel at the Chaos Communication Congress 6 months ago, and it was Frank Greengate who yesterday evening talked about about imagery of satellites, and he had a workshop on how to find cameras in public places without getting criminal. So that was pretty interesting. He showed how to like make those cameras unusable for a certain time without that you get sued for destroying it. So it's basically it's more a question of the law. If you can't like destroy such a camera with a flash, with a light flash or something like that, because I think the technique of doing it it's not so important. It's more important that you don't get catched doing it. But I don't know how much power you need to like flash such a camera.
I would propose that you spend $200 or $100 and make tests yourself and publish it on the net. Yeah.
Infrared laser diode would not be visible. Put it in line with a camera in the bag. Because the laser focused on the center of the field of view of the camera in the bag with some monitor or something. So you move the bag until it looks crosshairs, and then disable the camera. But it probably require maybe we have to worry about other people around for reflections, like at a rock show or a laser or so forth. That's a consideration.
Yeah, that's safe in case actually be directed at people.
Well, you wouldn't want it to now. You got to do that. But piece of equipment, you have to worry about reflection.
But I think generally there are two ways to do something with cameras. One thing is to manipulate the camera on the way to the base station, and the other way is to manipulate the picture the camera is viewing. I think that's more, perhaps not so technical, but a more efficient way to do something like that. Like if you know that the camera is connected to a software with scanning all wanted people, you can take like photographs of wanted people and you check the camera too. Then you go away to a street cafe and wait what happens at the moment. Police arrives and stuff like that. So that's not my idea, but these are possible ways to disrupt the function of this.
The thing is to like rise in the cost as well here, because I mean, if they install automatic cameras which recognize the behavior of people, it's again for cost reducing. So they try to reduce the costs of police having to look what happens there. So if it's possible to trigger this mechanism by easy means, so if you walk by and just like wave your hand and it will be triggered, something like that. So something that everybody can do easily. The cost of such started, and they think twice if it's worth installing such a thing somewhere.
Another technique I've seen or heard of before if the camera is not too high in elevation, you get a telescoping pole where you get 10 meters extended in a can of opaque spray, like black spray paint or undercoating or certain onto the lens.
Yeah, that's something that Frank presented. Because if you don't destroy the camera physically, they can't really say you destroy the camera which was worth $10,000. You just yeah right. They just have to clean the lens. It doesn't cost too much, but it is a pain in the ass. So that's yeah right. So that's something that is pretty legal, let's say, to do. So there was a question here in the middle first. Yeah.
Zoom in on the speaker. At least these are questions from the audience. Actually, it's questions from the audience. Doesn't matter. We're still talking, right? Steve's really small. Conversation between people.
He interprets the signal, the video signal, the feeds with the right radio wave. It's like a magnetic
You
pulse.
can't do anything about it.
You can
That's the
go
problem.
into
You
you can
cannot
spot it on the cable.
zoom in on the speaker and
Could pause
question
the shielding.
No, you can zoom out so you can see that.
Luna, do you have
What they
something
should
to say?
do is they should put an extra microphone and for people to stand there and see that they have an extra microphone. But having headphones and sound is trust me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the end, it points out to be a political discussion. I mean, all those laws are passed behind our backs. I mean, people really don't realize that there are laws that allow police to for communication to catch emails with the providers, that they are free to log into a router and just screen the communication there. There are laws here in the Netherlands, laws in Europe are being passed by, and nobody notices it. And it doesn't even get in the news because people don't care. They are not interested. They think it's too technical. People is not interested. The media just doesn't cover it. That's what we try to do. We try to make it public, to make the people see that things are happening. That yeah, right. But in 5 years, the thing is, in 5 years, everybody is so surveilled. Then they realize what the fuck is going on. I mean, look at it. It's too late, right? And the laws are there. They can't do nothing about it. You just have to be in your house. Look that when you go out, you don't do nothing suspect and things like that. They can track you down wherever you go, even let's say in a public toilet or whatever. So they invade your privacy as soon as you get out of your four walls. We have more questions. Okay. Go on, yeah, go on.
In order to create more public awareness of it, like write little stickers saying you are on camera or so, that you can just, walk through the inner parts of the city with footage, whether you see camera.
Just to give you this information, in Switzerland, whoever runs such a camera is obliged to show on a sign that to tell people that they are surveilled if it's a public area. So they are obliged to say, oh well, now you enter a place where you're under video surveillance. They are obliged to do so, but it's not really tightly controlled at this time.
I mean, can you order the stickers somewhere?
Well,
Can I order it?
I know what you mean. Yeah, to set up such bumper stickers to small things to just check. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my idea, it's something to do with the campus. I like things that toilets have come over. I think Aardvark. There are 3 toilets this festival. Yeah, Aardvark proposed that. I think it's rather funny and making public more aware if you put stickers here about your camera on rather place where you don't expect it, like solarium, inside toilets, and things like that. And I think raising our public awareness by doing that would get much more than just destroying cameras, because if people realize that the state would be, or private being more would be willing to
Yeah, right. There's all those movies where you can see like the enemy of the state. I don't know if you know that movie. You can see where they. I mean, the technique is not so far developed by now, but let's say in 5 years they can do what you just seen in that movie. That's not the thing, but the thing is that they can track him down wherever he goes, and people are scared by that. But basically, police could do that right now already, and people don't know that. So that's the message to bring over.
Would be a good approach to design these stickers
Yeah.
and make people remember how to stick them like inside dressing rooms and shopping malls and things like that. People are saying, I want to be on camera and start thinking what to do. Do you know where to get those things?
Yeah, but we could like I'm writing it down, so probably I'm going to have a test print of some nice stickers. Yeah. Maybe Think Geek would take it as a something.
I invite you wanted to say something over.
Me?
Yeah.
Me.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm aware of some cameras that are on very, very high poles, and they come with their own bottle of washing liquid, like inside the car, and the tube goes all the way up to the top. So the man wants to clean it, just squirts the liquid to the top. Now you could have interesting results replacing that within.
Question? Okay. You want to say something?
Yeah, just a question. As far as with the face recognition cameras and stuff, how accurate are the experience I've heard of is that they're very, very accurate. Is there any way to evade them? Is there any known ways to trick them, or other than wearing a mask over your face?
I think you have to differ, like the demo video you showed, that is far away from realization, and I think the software face it is some sites saying they have 80% of all the tracking things they want to view, they are correct. Therefore, I think that you have some range at the moment where nothing works really good. But afterwards, it will be really difficult if you're not doing something like that. Not get tracked. I think what I mean is the classes, something like that will not work because FACEIT uses 80 points in your face, 80 different points to connect your face and to remember your face. So you have to pull away your face and hide it.
But again, it could be a nice trick to like wear a mask of some mass murder or someone like that. So someone that is chased actually by the police, you try to wear such a mask and see if the mechanism triggers. If the bank gets surrounded by police cars 5 minutes later, you know you were successful. I don't know how exactly, but I don't know the techniques. But it could be a possibility to scan for certain frequencies where those cameras transmit or emit.
Most of these cameras are closed circuit. They cannot radiate. Normal modulator, they still radiate. It's not in the pipe that's necessarily. What I'm saying is there's a there's an optical way to detect camera lenses. I've seen a device, I don't have one, there's a device that uses an infrared laser diode that scans a pattern. It's a viewfinder between this handheld scope. And you look around and you light up a dot wherever there's a camera lens, even if it's a hidden camera lens, like hidden inside a flag or behind a sign or something. And there that money costs about $1,000.
Right.
Could be made much less.
Right now, it's still a matter of quality. So most cameras you can get for private purpose, they are not like secured that way. So the only ones at this time using such techniques to avoid getting detected are military and agencies and secret police, things like that. So they have the technical means and the money to do something like that. But again, it's a matter of technical progression. So in a matter of years, we will have the possibility to have such small cameras that then really gets dangerous, and then it's assessed too late to do something. Sorry. That's it. So the camera itself is pretty small already.
Do you see the trend between I think the cameras from the government and the cameras from private people? Is both going up directly this way, or is it more cameras from the government which are going up?
Well, we don't recognize trends, but I mean the thing is, private people don't say, well, I just installed a camera on my home, but governments are up to some point obliged to do so. But I would say that private people start to do that as well, because it's the thing is it's really funny, like looking what your neighbor does. That's something that is in the nature of manhood. So that they want people are wondering what everyone else does. So they start to play by it because it's so cheap. It's so cheap to get a small camera these days. So you could easily install one on your roof and look what everyone else does around your house, and that gets pretty funny movies sometimes. So that's the danger on that side, on the private side, I would say. But I don't know statistics. Yeah.
It's just from Health 2000's website, and again on screen.
You mean like
It's a live stream. There's nothing to do with security.
Not that I know, but the thing is, I mean, there's on one side, there's my opinion on that. There's so many webcams which are publicized on the net, and you can start and look which camera shows what, but that could change in a matter of minutes. That's not really the point, but how to say, if a web camera, we had a case in Switzerland where police had a webcam for like the people who go in the Lake of Zurich, like with the boats and things like that, to see what the situation on the lake is, if there's high waves and things like that. But this camera could be zoomed 8 times, and if you zoomed 8 times, you could recognize faces of people like lying there on the beach. So the privacy officer forbids to run that zoom option for that camera, because you could recognize people. I mean, your boss could see if you're on the lake instead of being home because you called in sick, things like that. And so they had to remove that zoom option from the camera. So if someone public does run such a camera which has an impact on privacy of other people, he gets called back by privacy officers. But you can't have a survey on private people. That could be an option to like have webcams being detected by people, that they can say to activate a camera or whatever support to enter it on that form on the web.
In the U.S. anyway, all the private cameras, companies, corporations, and so forth, the tapes are regularly subpoenaed by law enforcement. If anything happens in a particular area, if we want to scrutinize it, we can subpoena the tapes. I heard in Oklahoma City where there was a bombing, the police subpoenaed the tapes from automatic teller machines, ATM machines, and banks, and so forth, and got evidence out of that. But to say that interviews where all this information would be required, I think it'll lead a situation where the government switches must have access to law enforcement, whether future corporate business cameras will be required to provide instantaneous access
that's the thing. I mean, imagine there's this security officer who looks into that camera feed 8 hours a day, and probably he's bored 7.5 hours of it. So what he does, he uses the Zoom. He starts to track the secretary where she walks to what she does because she's a nice girl and things like that. So they start to abuse that stuff. Of course, they do. I mean, you can, if you're let's say you're a federal agent who has access to some routers, and you can easily, let's say, so now I feel like seeing what my neighbor emails to his friend or things like that. So you can start easily to abuse that information. That was what makes it dangerous.
You know of instances where private business corporate cameras have been, the feed is borrowed by law enforcement, where law enforcement shares data with corporate business, and whether any legislation in this country requires private business corporate cameras to provide access to law enforcement, real-time access.
Well, here in the Netherlands, I know of a law here in Switzerland, here in the Netherlands, that allows ministries and police to do such things. There are laws in Germany and in Switzerland as well that tend to open this access to police and such organizations. I think the time is running out now. If someone else has any questions, otherwise I would like to thank you for the contributions and thank Ulf and for the camera for their support, and I would like to end this panel now. Thank you.
The next slide, get it in model, what's the end of that? This one, next one. This one. So, we need to snake on because we don't have the skill right now. Oh yeah, this was pre-patch the sounds. By the way, I had to reboot the machine because it fucked over. Here is a rebooted, so I crashed. I can't quite work because it's rebooted yet. I got it working again, but whatever I was recording, it fucked. So then sometimes it's happened. Yeah, but it's normal because now, because we're recording it to the hard drive, Kirk also said the system will become more unstable. And the one we are